Big thanks to WB for sending me a review copy. Okay, so I finished playing LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, and wow, what a game. This game celebrates just about every version of Batman in one cohesive experience that allows you to play through Bruce's life from his childhood to becoming the legendary Caped Crusader. Now, during the build-up to launch, people had been calling this LEGO Arkham, and the funny thing is, that nickname isn't entirely untrue. This game has elements of Arkham gameplay, but while wearing a LEGO-themed coat of paint. From the traversal to the open world to the combat, there's a lot of Arkham here, and after a decade since our last true Arkham title, it's hard not to compare the two. But after actually playing the game, how does LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight fare against its older brothers? How does it perform as a LEGO game, as well as a Batman game? Is it a worthy successor to the critically acclaimed Arkham series? Short answer, yes. Long answer, watch the rest of this video. Now obviously I have been unbelievably hyped for this thing ever since it was revealed, but that doesn't mean I won't be objective about the game. If there's a problem with a part of the game, I'm going to talk about it. Now, before we get into the game itself, let's talk performance. That is the question on everyone's minds. I played the game on PS5 and PC. Now, as far as the performance goes on console, it's pretty much perfect, okay? I didn't come across any major bugs, and the game still looked beautiful on performance mode. This is a ridiculously pretty game. If you stripped away all the LEGO stuff, you would be left with a really impressive AAA Arkham game. Now, when it comes to PC, it's pretty rough, okay? The pre-disclosed hardware requirements had us really worried before launch, and our fears were indeed valid. Now, obviously, PC performance will vary from rig to rig, but for me, it was pretty rough. I have a mid-range computer with an RTX 5060, and I encountered frame drops, stutters, texture glitches, and countless pop-ins with the open world. And that was on medium settings. Now, I wasn't really surprised by this at all because most PC launches today are pretty rough. I would highly recommend playing this on console. Now, before we get into the video, I just want to say that there will be spoilers for pretty much everything, so if you haven't played the game, go do that. Okay, now with that out of the way, I just want to start off by saying yes, this is the best LEGO game ever made. The levels are fun and well designed, the characters, while few in number, are more fleshed out than any other LEGO title, and the open world is truly impressive. It surpasses any open world Gotham we have ever seen. This game feels more like a traditional video game than a LEGO game, if that makes sense. I applaud TT Games for switching up their formula and trying something new. Now, for the question that everyone is asking, is this the best Batman game? Honestly, I'm mixed on it, but it's hard not to think that it might be, and that's because of how comprehensive this game is. It might not be the best Batman game we've ever gotten, but it is the most complete one. A big part of that is all of the detail that has been put into this game. The suits, the city, the Batmobiles, the Batcave, everything is here, and it all feels like exactly how you'd expect a Batman experience to be. Long gone are the days of half-baked Batcaves, only used for one mission or delegated to a challenge map. This game gives us a full, complete Batcave that we get to customize. As you progress through the story, you unlock trophies that you can go back and decorate your Batcave with. I don't know why this hasn't been in a Batman game before. It's a genius idea, and it makes the Batcave feel more like it's a part of the story. Now, speaking of story, this game has a pretty good one, even if it does feel a bit rushed at times. The pacing is pretty quick, which makes sense, because they're trying to cover decades and decades of Bruce's life, all the way from his childhood to him becoming the fully fledged Dark Knight with all of his sidekicks grown up and all that good stuff. It's a lot to shove into one story. Now, the beginning of the game really takes its time, okay? The beginning missions with the League of Shadows take like a good hour and a half to complete, and the early missions with Gordon are slow, but they're really well done. Things move at this pretty even pace until Robin is introduced, at which point the pacing goes into full overdrive. And I think the reason for this is that TT Games is very used to telling condensed stories. I mean, they make games about all of the Star Wars movies, which are hours long, and they kind of just condense them into a shorter experience. This is what they do best. Now, this isn't a deal breaker because the story is lined with familiar moments from all of these other pieces of Batman media, so it's less of like an original story and more of a celebration of all things Batman. It's a roller coaster of fun, and I don't mind it at all. So even though this game technically does have an original story, it doesn't really begin using any of its original ideas until the very end when the League of Shadows returns. Before that, they just have different moments from Batman movies happening one after the other until Bane shows up. Like, that's pretty much it. Anyway, the levels are well structured and make good use of both party characters and their gadgets. My favorite had to be the Ace Chemicals mission or the Poison Ivy level. So nostalgic. I loved every minute of every level. Just so fun. Okay, now moving on, let's talk about the characters. This game features 7 playable characters plus a few extras and story missions. Now, I know that a lot of people are disappointed by the small roster, especially since past LEGO games have given us hundreds and hundreds of characters to play as. But this change, it makes sense to me. You know, rather than play as 100 characters that are basically reskins of each other, we get to play as members of the Bat family, each with their own skill tree and unique abilities. That's way better. You know, that's more of a traditional video game experience. Batman is really fun to play, which is good because if any of these characters need to be fun, it's him. Okay, he comes equipped with batarangs and the Bat Claw. Now, his arsenal doesn't seem like a lot when compared to his Arkhamverse counterpart, but these gadgets are more than serviceable when you think about all the stuff you can do with it. This might be a hot take, but I think the Bat Claw in this game has more combat options than the Arkham version. You can use it to pull an enemy into your grasp, at which point you can choose to punch or throw them. You can also use it to yank enemies side to side, knocking them into their comrades. This is a great option for crowd control. You can also use it to stun brutes. You can use it after dodging an enemy, and Batman will do this like cool flip and use the Batclaw to slam them into the ground. There's also a focus attack, which will drain 1 bar of your focus meter as Batman performs a finishing move. Each gadget in this game has their own version of this attack. The Batclaw one is essentially the same thing as the dodge attack, but the Batarang focus move is crazy. He calls in the swarm of bats just like in Batman Year One. It's really cool. Now, the gadgets also have utility in puzzles, and for Batman, it's mostly limited to hitting targets and pulling great covers. The other characters surprisingly have a lot more utility outside of combat. Batman does have a cool detective mode though in some of these puzzles. That's pretty cool. Alright, quick firing the rest of these. Catwoman comes equipped with a whip and a laser pointer. Her whip can open doors and spin enemies. She can also climb specific walls, and she can even summon a cat to traverse hard to reach spaces. Commissioner Gordon has a glue gun and a ricochet launcher. The ricochet gun is really good for farming studs quickly, but rarely shows up in puzzles, so it's kind of useless. The glue gun is really OP though. Honestly, both gadgets are really good in combat, but like you're just mostly going to be using the glue gun to like block vents and stuff like that. Other than that, not a ton of utility here. Okay, next, Talia has sleeping darts and a teleport ability. And if I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea how they work because you only really play with these abilities at the very end of the game, and she's almost never used in puzzles. I found her inclusion to be really strange. Like, yeah, she was important to the story, but did she really have to be a playable character? It made sense for her to be the companion character during the League of Shadows stuff, sure, but after that, she's just kind of pointless. I also thought she was a terrible pick for the final boss. If you want to tell a story about her betraying Batman, sure, that's fine. But I still have to play as her in the endgame? That makes no sense, okay? I think it would have been better if Raish just came back for revenge and he was the final boss. That would have been way more satisfying. Nightwing comes equipped with electric birdarangs and an electrified zip rope, which functions kind of like the remote claw from Arkham Origins. Really OP. Anyway, Nightwing is probably used the most in the puzzles, as a lot of the Riddler boxes require you to power some kind of machine to access it. He was definitely one of the more fun characters. I mean, first off, you can play the whole game wearing the 2008 LEGO Nightwing skin, crazy hairpiece and all. Yes, please. All of his animations just have way more sauce than Batman, and I love all of the flips that he does when traversing the city. It's so fun to watch. Now, Robin is where I'm pretty disappointed. Okay, his moveset is exactly the same as Nightwing's, but without the electricity, so it's worse. They could have at least given them different moves so that Robin is still relevant post-game. I'm a little annoyed that there's only Dick Grayson Robin in the game, and yeah, I understand that it would take a lot more time to tell the backstory of all these other Robins, but they could have at least chosen one, okay? Just one more, either Tim or Damian. Because of this, once you unlock Nightwing, Robin becomes completely and utterly irrelevant, and there's no more reason to play him, and that's really sad. Because Robin is such a massive part of the Batman mythos, and I thought they were going to do more with him. I mean, this game is called Legacy of the Dark Knight, but we only get to play as one Robin. Batman has so many other allies and supporting characters than just Nightwing and Batgirl. Cluemaster is in the game, but we don't see his daughter, Stephanie Brown. We don't see Jason Todd or Tim Drake, who, by the way, is responsible for 80% of the things that everyone loves about Robin. Talia is in the game, and she had a relationship with Bruce, but we don't even see Damian. Again, I understand that adding all of the Robins would be a lot and the pacing of the game would be even worse and more rushed, but like, come on, okay, just one Robin, really? In a game about Batman's legacy, his entire life, and you're just gonna one Robin? Okay, fine. Now, all of the characters have a few basic abilities in common. Everyone has a grapple and a glider, which makes sense when you look at how big the open world is. No younger sibling would want to play as Jim Gordon if you have to walk across Gotham, while your older brother is zipping around the sky as Batman. That would be no fun. The combat is pretty good here. It's not perfect, and it can feel a bit clunky, but it is more than serviceable, especially for a LEGO game. There's a combo meter, counters, quick-fire gadget attacks, and finishers. The only mechanic here that feels better than the Arkham series has to be the dodge roll, which is something that you don't really use that much in the previous games. It feels good to be able to dodge and counter. It makes the combat feel like there's more variety, and it doesn't really get old, and the difficulty settings add a level of depth that we haven't really seen before in a LEGO game. I mean, it's still not hard, but it's something new. It makes the game feel fresh. Now, the traversal in this game is awesome. The controls aren't as smooth as Arkham Knight, and it can be a bit hard to control, but once you get the hang of it, it's really fun. The flow of movement is pretty much the same though. You glide, grapple boost, then keep gliding. There is a dive bomb, but it's intended for entering combat encounters and doesn't really work well mid-glide. However, the game does give you a glide boost that I think is a very welcome inclusion. The movement would have felt very slow without it. Now, you also get to drive the Batmobile in this game, and honestly, it's okay. Like, I'm glad it's here, and it's cool to collect different Batmobiles, and it's fun to drive around, but it's not used very often in the story, and it's kind of hard to control. Like, maybe I just suck at it, but when you try to drift, you just go flying off the side of the road. I can see why they didn't make it a bigger part of the game, and maybe they were just afraid of creating another Arkham Knight situation. But now that I think about it, I think its inclusion is perfect, okay? Give me the option to drive it, but don't force me to use it all the time. And the B-Test Batmobile is here, so I'm happy. I can't complain. Now, the traversal being this fast would have been pointless if we didn't have a big open world to explore. But we do. This is the biggest and probably the best Gotham City we have ever gotten. The map is separated into 4 main islands, each one littered with detail and all kinds of Easter eggs to find. There's not a ton of variety between the islands, so it can be easy to get lost, but there are still tons of unique locations to spice up the open world. You have the docks, the power plant, the observatory, Wayne Tower, the many different GCPD buildings, the amusement park, Robinson Park, the Hippodrome, and that's just to name a few. So even though the districts aren't as distinct as Arkham cities, there's still plenty of variety here. Now, Gotham isn't the only thing you'll be exploring. I mentioned this earlier, but this game allows you to fully explore and customize the Batcave. Over the course of the game, you'll get to expand and upgrade it, and I love how you go back to it in between some missions. It really feels like a part of the experience, and even though it's a fast travel location, it's still more complete than any other Batcave ever. It's not a one-time mission, it's not a challenge map, it's not some temporary Batcave set up beneath Arkham Asylum, it's the Batcave. The Batcave also houses Batman's collection of alternate suits, and these are just awesome. Okay, there are so many to choose from, and I'm so glad that they aren't just limited to the movie suits. There are Batman costumes from every piece of Batman media, from the comics to the games and the shows. I'm a little sad that the Batman 2004 isn't here, but hey, maybe in some future DLC, you never know. I rocked the Arkham Asylum suit for most of my late game playthrough. This one's just so cool. And there's a Nemo skin. Let's go. Now, this is gonna sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but I really wish that there was a character customizer. The Skywalker Saga didn't have one either, but I was at least hoping to see a Batsuit customizer of some sort. I understand if we can't mix and match pieces from other characters, but at least let me make my own custom Batsuit using the pieces I've unlocked. Okay, that was half the fun of the older games. Now, there is a bit of extra customization with the suits, but it feels like a slap in the face, okay? We have gross looking palette swaps, that's it. It would have been better if they just didn't add these, because like they went the extra mile to add that extra layer of customization to the suits, but all they did was make the costumes look like the skins from Marvel's Avengers. Imagine taking the long-eared cowl of the Asylum suit, putting it on the body of the BTAS suit with the absolute Batman shoulder pads, and then make the whole thing a dark blue. Like, why wasn't this in the game? That would have been so cool. Okay, so we have cool alternate suits, a massive open world with lots of cool things to look at, but what is there to do? Quite a bit, actually. You got rescuing zoo animals, committing burglaries with Catwoman, helping out Killer Croc, you got races, combat trials, poison ivy plants, wanted posters, random crimes, and of course, Riddler trophies. I mean Riddler puzzle boxes, sorry. And Clue Master puzzles. I guess he's here too. The puzzles were actually kind of difficult at times, like not to the point where I'd have to look up a guide, but I'd just be sitting there for a good minute trying to figure it all out. They were pretty good, okay? I'm glad they didn't dumb down these puzzles just because it's a kid's game, and I thought they were really fun and used everyone's abilities and gadgets really well. The open world always has something for you to do, and I found myself constantly getting distracted from the main story. I really liked the Killer Croc side mission, and I enjoyed seeing more of a detective side with this Batman. Now, after you complete all the side missions, it's just the random crimes, and they're not really super impressive, but at that point, just replay the game, okay? Overall, LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight isn't the best Batman game, but it is the most complete one. I loved every minute of this game, and if you're a fan of any version of Batman, this is well worth your time. It has something for everyone. It is a game that was designed with children in mind, but also caters to us adults who enjoyed the first LEGO Batman game way back in 2008. I really hope there's a sequel. I'm going to give LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight a solid 8.5 out of 10. Alright, that's going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it all, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button, and drop in the comments down below what you thought of LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. Let's talk about it. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later.